Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Village Rising. Tonight is a special night as we're going to commemorate and celebrate Women's History Month. We are here tonight to pay tribute to some of the women who have come before us, who have paved the way to make sure that we have the ability to do some of the things that we do today. We have women business owners, women entrepreneurs, women politicians, women doctors, women lawyers, and we just want to make sure that we applaud and let everyone know that women are breaking down barriers, they're shattering glass ceilings, and they're letting people know that we're here. Uh, One thing we want to talk about is the fastest rising business owners in America are African American women. 37.9% of new business owners are African American women. 26.7% of new female doctors, physicians, are African American women. 19.3% of new small business entrepreneurs are African American women. We also have an increase of 2.8% of astronauts with NASA, 3.9% of scientists that work for NASA, and 31.7% of law enforcement, to include FBI, DEA, local law enforcement, sheriff departments, are females, and 19.7 of those are African American women. So we are trending, we are making success, we're making progressive results, but we still have a long way to go. We know that women are paid less than men. We still have that going on. We still have a deficit of 36.3% that women receive compared to men that are paid the same way. For physicians, we have 19.7% deficiency of women when it comes to physicians' pay. So we still have a long way to go, guys. We've made some treads, we've made some progress, we've paved the way, but we've got a long way to go, and we got a lot of work left to do. So while we're celebrating International Women's Day, we still can't forget that we still have a long way to go when it comes to equality and bridging the gap that we have between pay, between benefits, and between women entrepreneurs. People talk about men in sports, but we have to talk about women in sports. We've been breaking some barriers. We've had the first female woman to be a referee in an NFL game. We've had the first NFL trainer. And now we need to look at the first woman owner. I know people talk about Black ownership, but we really are looking at women owners in the NFL. There have been 7 to 8 different groups that have met, that have talked, that have put together. They're looking at a exploratory committee to see exactly what funding would be needed and what type of resources we need to actually put together a team to pitch a woman's ownership in the NFL. So we've got a lot of things that we're planning on doing, a lot of things that we're trying to do. We have to look at the fact that women are making some progress. Again, I'm going to say we got a long way to go. We got a lot of women entrepreneurs out there. We want to make sure that you guys understand supporting women's business is supporting families. Women lead the way in single parent households that are business owners. So when you're supporting a woman owned business, that's a small owned business, you're supporting a family, you're supporting a community, you're supporting a village. So make sure that you look at your local women's business owners, your entrepreneurs in your community, and support them. And make sure that you look up those people who are making pave ways, your activists, your people who are doing community service in your communities, and support them. Find out how you can do it, reach out to them, and do things that you can do to positively impact your community and support women. Now we're going to switch it up a little bit, and I'm going to bring on someone who is doing work in the photojournalist community, a personal friend of mine, and someone who has been making headways for years. He has done an expose on women, business owners, women in the movement, women in social activism. Ian Frank has been on the forefront of bringing to life some of our civil rights, some of our social justice, some of our activism photos in the past 25 years. And he has really captured some of the newest movements, the George Floyd, the Charlottesville, the Baton Rouge, Alton Sterling, the social activism that has been going on throughout the communities throughout the country. And so, without further ado, I'm going to bring on Ian, who's going to tell us a little bit about what he's doing for the women's movement, and also what he's doing for social justice and for equality throughout our country, and specifically in our community. So, ladies and gentlemen in the village, please give me the opportunity to introduce to you Mr. Ian Frank.
Hey, good evening, Dr. Mays.
Thank you, Ian. Thank you for giving us some time tonight, for allowing people to see your work and know who you are, so that they can learn a little bit about Ian Frank, what he's done, so they'll be able to access his work and see some of the great things that you've been doing in the community. So I'm going to let you say more about what you are doing, how you've been using your photojournalism for activism. I want to start first with your vision, because I know you personally. So I want you to talk about what has given you that ability to want to do this, and why you want to do epic shit. Yes, I said that because that is what Ian does. That is his trademark, guys. I know, but that is what Ian says, and there's a reason behind it. So I want people to know why you're doing that. So,
Wow. My motivation, it's wow, different. When I started off as a photographer, I wanted to get into commercial photography because all I could think about, was the celebrity, the money, the perks, and all this other stuff. But when I realized that wasn't it for me, it's not who I am. It's not who I was meant to be. And I had that epiphany with my oldest son, God rest his soul. Passed away from cancer. And I photographed him and my youngest son at the hospital during one of his chemo treatments. And he sat on his brother's bedside. He sat at his brother's bedside and refused to leave. And so naturally, I always keep a camera with me. So I went and I just photographed him. Didn't realize the shot that I had. So when I got home, I looked at it, and it just knocked the wind out of me. That's when I realized I need to be doing things that's going to make a difference, for the community, for the world, and people's lives. Something needs to be done. And I had given it up. No more, fun parties and all this other stuff. I just focused on what mattered in life. That was my motivation. That one photo changed the game for me.
when you talk about him, a lot of us were along with you on that journey.
Yeah.
And we felt like we were in the hospital. We felt like we were at his bedside. We felt like we were right there with you along the way because of the images. The images captured not just the soul of what was going on, but it captured everything about him, everything that he said, everything that he did. The strength of him to still have a smile on his face, enduring what he was enduring, to support and push his little brother to understand what was going on, to be your strength when you were going through that, was overwhelming, to say the least. But it gave people that in-depth look that most people don't get to see when people are going along that journey of battling cancer. And we didn't want that outcome to be what it was. And we still remember him. We never forget him. He is a driving force behind a lot of the things that you do and a lot of the things that many of the people that know you do. We all want to be better because of him. We all want to do better because of him. And so that is where people need to see what you see. It's looking through your eyes to see some of the things that you've captured has been mind-blowing. It's different when you're there. And a lot of times, we had to check on you because you would be in the heart of this. And I'm going, Ian, get out of there. Why are you in the middle of these white supremacists? Why are you in the middle of this police are tear gassing and everything? And so you never understand it until you get an in-depth look at it. And that's what you've given people, is that third eye. That third eye to be able to see what others cannot see, from the journey of your son to looking at the impact of what society has done, the ills, the negativity, the injustice, the lack of care. There's so many people that hear the word cancer, and I'm going to go back to him because he's such a light in darkness. Cancer is something we know, we hear, but many people don't know that journey. And so to live it through your images gives humanity to it. And
I,
so I never want to not, even if we're talking about your photojournalism, we know that you've done a great job with that. I want to make sure that people understand the journey that you started and how hard it was for you to take that camera and turn it on your son and be able to show that journey to others, share your pain and his strength at the same time, and then use that to motivate yourself to get to the next level of what the world needed to see. So kind of talk about that journey, Ian.
it, like I said, it started with that one photograph, but it really hit home uh, 2 days before he passed, December 26, 2017. Now, I didn't know, for a while, I didn't know that my son admired what I did. You know, at the time he was 19. I took him to New York with me at a gallery showing, and his first time in New York, and that's my hometown. So he and I ran around the streets like madmen. Well, he had a camera just like mine. So we shared that moment, photographing different things in New York. But it was when we went to that gallery, he said something to me. Because nowadays you don't hear kids, especially boys, say how proud they are of their father. And it was a really nice gallery too. I mean, they had the whole layout. But I went to check on him because he was sitting down, and he said, "Daddy, this is a really nice gallery, but your work belongs on a much larger scale." To hear that from him, when kids at that age, they can't stand their parents, they don't want to hear anything they got to say. Those words, they stuck with me. So, and I'm sorry, let me backtrack. That was in May of 2017. He ended up in the hospital in October of 17. And the 2 days, December 26th, he had his camera in the hospital, his backpack, which I still use. And the last words that my son spoke, "Daddy, I want you to continue your work with my camera." Now, my son is a jokester like me. He said, "But you better credit me as Tyler Williams." So I keep that with me anytime I touch the camera. But now I don't take it to protest anymore, because if something happens to it, then I'm going to go nuts. So I only use this camera for special projects, portraiture, when it's one-on-one things that I can really get close to the subject, and it's in a pretty safe environment. But that is my motivation. His strength, the strength of my other two kids, my daughter and my youngest son. I watch how they dealt with it. I don't know if I could deal with it the way they did. They dealt with it a lot better than I did. I buried my mother at a young age, and this is the one who put the camera in my hand when I was 5. I didn't think about things like that until losing my son. And I don't dwell on it anymore. I don't mourn. I learned how to celebrate his life, think about the good times, think about the craziness that he did. And yes, he lived to be 20, but let me tell you, he left a legacy and a lifetime of memories. You're talking about a kid that was in a wheelchair at one point during this cancer battle, to go from the wheelchair to lettering and wrestling in high school. The boy was benching 400 pounds. That strength, pulling from that, keeps me going each and every day. Every day. And I don't know if you can see, I got a photo of my son behind me. I don't know if I can lift this up so you can see, from when we were in New York. And that photo was his idea, and I took it. So when I'm sitting here working on things, I know that he's there and he's got my back. That's the purpose for it being behind me. So that is my driving force. That's what pushes me to do epic shit. Because, you know, this kid was wise beyond his years. He said, "Daddy, it ain't about you. It ain't about me. And it's way bigger than us." So when I think about that, when I do certain projects or I go certain places, I think how that's going to better someone's life, open someone's eyes, burst that bubble, that, you know, the proverbial bubble that people live in and don't realize what's going on in the world. So I use that strength. You know, I pull that from him and, of course, from above. And that's why I'm able to do what I do. I don't, people always say, "Ian, I love your work. You see all of this shit." And my answer every time, I only shoot what God allows me to see. He puts me where I need to be, and I do what I need to do. And I keep going. That's it. I don't do it for the money. I don't do it for the accolades. I do it because it needs to be done and it's the right thing to do.
Now, going from there, we know your motivation, but you've been able to capture some moments that have been echoed and seen across the nation. USA Today, CNN, MSNBC, countless other, Washington Post. There's so many that have used your images. And I'm going to go to one image in particular, and that is the start of a lot of the social movements. People talk about Trayvon Martin, and that was kind of where everything really became forefront.
Mm-hmm.
But in Baton Rouge, there was, there's your Trayvon Martin. That image with the shots and the hands up with the flag is epic. It's an epic shot. Talk to the listeners about what that image was and what that image was about.
Actually, that image was more of Alton Sterling. That's what motivated me to do it. I watched that video. I had just left New Orleans. Took the kids down for the summer to be with the grandparents. And I had just come back, trying to relax, unwind, and I watched that video. So I want to say maybe 2 days later, I was down in Baton Rouge. I went back. And I can't even say I've been right since that incident, watching it happen, standing at the Triple S market where he was murdered, staying in the spot where he was murdered. And going throughout that time of the days of protesting to the day of his funeral, it weighed heavy on me. And like other ones, you prayed for justice, you hoped there would be some kind of justice, but deep down, you knew what was going to happen. You just knew. So I came back, and I had one of my many 3 a.m. epiphanies where I will get up in the morning, set up my lights, and just do something. It's like I have to do something. I'm moved to do something that speaks volumes, or speaks to someone, I should say. And I came up with that concept. I poked holes in the hoodie, used fake blood, I hung the flag up because it speaks to, one, me serving in the military. And I served in the Marine Corps. And it's like you see my melanin before anything else. You don't know I'm a Marine Corps veteran. I'm a disabled vet. You don't know that. The cutoff camouflage shorts, there was a purpose behind that. Whereas, I'm sorry, it's just really, just thinking back, the shorts represented how torn I was between the two. Yes, you want to fight for a country that's still, but so many in the same country calls you the N-word. There's no justice for you if something happens to you. They don't care about your military status. But you sign up, hopefully you're signing up to do the right thing and to make that ultimate sacrifice if need be. But then you come home, chances are you're making a sacrifice just to be a hashtag. And that's the way it felt to me. It's like nobody cared. Yeah, you're good when you're over there doing this, but when you come back, it's whatever. I've heard those stories from my grandfather in World War II. I heard it from my uncles in Vietnam. It's the same thing. So I just felt compelled to take that image.
The Alton Sterling case came at a time when we were already reeling from so many social justice incidents across the United States. It hit, of course, closer to home for those in Louisiana because it was in the state capital. And it was such antagonism by so many people, and you started to see the divide within friends and on the college campuses, and then people started to come into Baton Rouge, and then these were people who were coming in to support the Alton family, and then there were people who were coming in to support the officers, and so there was so much that went on, and out of that we had another light shined on us when the phantom shooter came in from wherever he came in from and shot the officers in Baton Rouge. And so on top of the Alton Sterling shooting, you had this shooting that happened, and officers were killed. And so it heightened everything that was going on. And so you started having protests on top of protests, and then counter protests. And it made for such turmoil in the state at a time when as a nation we were reeling, but as a state we were watching this. People were looking at it to see, okay, so what's going to happen. We saw the video. It became something that was on loop, almost reminded me of the Rodney King incident. It became on loop, and so we saw it more. And then of course we have the internet and social media, and so you saw even more of it, and the hatred began to build and continued to build. And you had young people stepping out and saying, we're tired. You only see us for our color. And then you had people on the other side saying, but no, we're not all this way. Not all police officers are bad. And we're saying, but not all Black people are bad. And so it was so much turmoil, and you captured so many of those moments, so many of those people who were out on the scene that nobody else saw. The media was trying to capture those people who came down, who may have been social figures throughout the nation, or like your Sean Kings and people like that. But you were capturing everyday people who were out there, who were standing up for whatever they believed in, whatever side of the spectrum they were on. You were capturing those people who didn't have a title or didn't come with the camera crew or work on CNN or MSNBC. You were capturing those moments. What did that feel like, Ian, to be in the midst of that?
I was speaking to Wayne earlier before we started, A lot of that, I remember capturing the image, but I don't remember a lot of it. Because when you're in the thick of it, you know you have a job to do, you do it and you move on. To be able to look back now, a lot of times I look at the images, the first thing comes to my mind is, what the hell were you thinking? Like, why were you there? You have kids, you got a family, you need to be safe. I'm like, look, bottom line is, I say, do epic shit. Well, you can't do it sitting on the sideline. I'd rather live a short, full life than a long, safe one. If you've been given a gift or a talent, it's your job to share it with others or share it with the world. Am I scared when I go in those situations? No, I'm not. Because I know who's got my back. I know how I'm covered. And if that's what God has for me to do, I don't have any fear doing it. I refuse to.
Now I'm going to go into something that was probably one of the moments where those of us who know you, I know you don't fear, but those of us who know you were in fear because you found yourself in the middle, and this I'm jumping around because there's so many things you've done that have been epic, but this thing was something that we feared. Many of us that know you personally was texting, calling, because
Yeah.
when we saw the images, we were like, Ian, are you okay? Where are you? You were in the midst of Charlottesville and you captured the image heard around the world. And to even be in that area to capture that image, that was a fear for us that know you because we knew what happened, and the media didn't even have this image. You captured the image that was in the moment when those people attacked this young man in Charlottesville.
Mm-hmm.
And to see that image, for us, we were angry, we were sad, we were disgusted, we were distraught, we were in battle. We didn't know what to think when we saw it, and when we knew that this young man was attacked and beaten because these people went there with a mission of hate. There was a fear for us because we knew you captured that image, which meant you had to be very close to what was going on. And so, how do you feel in that moment? Like, why wasn't there a instance that you wanted to run away from that? What made you run to it and be in the midst of it to be able to catch that image that so many in the nation now know and now see and remember?
I was actually moved to that image. I captured DeAndre and two of his friends. They had a little bit of a scuffle before that. Well, it was quite a scuffle, I would say, where one of the white supremacists had a bat, a little baseball bat, and about that big, and it had a Confederate flag on it. Well, he tried to hit one of his friends with it, and his friend, needless to say, was real good with his hands, and ended up taking it from him. So I'm talking to them after that, and they're like, "Hey, let's leave." So they start walking down the street. I see the white supremacists walking in a huge group. Something tells me, Ian, walk with them. So we walked, words are being passed back and forth. And when we got to the infamous parking garage, one of the supremacists broke their ranks and approached them. And that's how they ended up in the garage. When they realized that he was getting his tail handed to him, that's when they all ran into the garage. That's when everything started. And when DeAndre stumbled off, he went around to the side of the garage to safety. Then you saw law enforcement show up, and DeAndre walked across the street where I captured that image. and I just followed him. I don't know what made me do it, but I just followed him. And it hurt me. I caught a lot of flack. Well, why didn't you help him? One, I can't get involved. That, to me, that hurts because I can't get involved. Well, I think that image helped him more than me getting in the middle of a fight with him. The white supremacists, the ones that did that are doing some time.
Yeah, well, by you capturing those images, you were able to capture something that the video cameras did not capture. So they were able to be identified due to the images that you had. And like you said, now they're serving time. Had you not been there to capture those images and to be able to give witness to that, they may have just blended in and went on along the way, and DeAndre would never have received justice. So that image that you captured, if you had not been there, we would have never seen it. We would have never seen the extent of the attack in the garage that you captured. The images gave us insight into what was going on. Instead of hearing about it, we actually got to see it and witness it and see the results of the hate that was going on at that time. And, I know seeing the white supremacist as a Black man with a camera, you're out there to do something to document. I know it's hard and people don't understand that because people expect you to throw that camera down and jump in the mix and start fighting. And that's not how photojournalism goes. The moments, the civil rights movements, if people had put down their cameras to fight with Martin Luther King and the Freedom Riders, and we would have never had the images that we have today. To see them, to have them documented, to have them in museums, to be able to see the journey of the Freedom Riders, to see Medgar Evers, to see Martin Luther King, to see some of the early civil rights images. Those photojournalists were risking their lives to be able to tell a story that we now can see, visit, talk about it, write about it, and imagine, give a story to it. Images give us a story that stories can't give us. There's your City Hall image, Ian. Tell us about that image that we're looking at right there.
That was actually from a silent protest outside of City Hall in Baton Rouge. I was
in that image. I'm sorry, in that image, Ian, that we're looking at, that was one of the early on Alton Sterling protests. Am I correct?
Yes. I was out there just keeping a watch for anything that may have transpired or whatever. And that particular image hit me because obviously it spoke to me. I have 2 Black sons, So I said, this is something that needs to be, because you always see keep calm, carry on, keep calm, drink wine and all this other stuff. But that one, that stuck with me. And no, in this day and age, having a Black son, you can't keep calm. You're always, hyper vigilant.
Yeah, and we're now at a point in society where everything is now documented, whether it be by video, pictures, whatever. So we're now seeing more and more. I call them independent or amateur photojournalists out there presenting, some not understanding what they're capturing or not understanding how they're capturing it, but just out there, just want to be first. I want to post a picture to Instagram or Facebook or whatever, and they're really not photojournalists. They're just what I call opportunists, looking for a moment so that they can push this out here. There's a difference, and I'm saying that because I want people to understand. There's a difference in someone who's a photojournalist who does this, who is telling a story, who is trying to help you to be in the moment, to feel the moment, to capture the moment, as compared to someone who's out there just trying to seize the moment and make an opportunity out of someone's despair or a tragic moment. Um, your images that you have, and people can see your images, and we'll talk about that before we end, how people can go to your site, see them, and see the work that you've done and the work that you are working on and the future work is heart and soul. It's not a wham bam, look at this picture. I'm going to run out here and take it. A lot of your images have actually been you looking through the story and taking patience and care to tell a story, because in 20 years that picture of DeAndre is going to be epic. It's going to be a part of history. It's going to be a part of the struggle that we have done. This is our own civil rights. This is a new civil rights now. It's different, but it's the same.
Mhm.
Um, we see the image that you have of DeAndre. We can go back and look at the picture of Laura Toulon when the dogs were biting her in that 1964 image. It's similar.
I
Um,
don't, I'm
it
sorry, Dr. Mays. I hear this and it's very flattering. Don't get me wrong, but I I never saw myself like that because again, I don't do it for the accolades. It's these are things that need to be told. You know, like you said, we wouldn't know, and I'm starting to recognize that. My wife tells me, "Babe, you're not a one-trick pony. They need to see what you do." You know, I have a friend of ours, mutual friend of ours, Abdul.
oh, dude, yes.
His brother called me up and cursed me out. He said, "You need to stop with this humble BS. You are good at what you do." And I'm grateful for that. You know,
Yeah, we've been telling you for a long time that your images are going to change the world, and your humbleness is something that we know. Those of us that know you know, but it is time that because you remember at first you were so humble that these people were taking your images without your permission.
oh, yeah. Then they almost saw another side of me at that point.
They were taking your images without your permission. You remember we were like, wait a minute, that's Ian's. Who is? How did CNN
I
get
am
there?
so thankful for the love and support at that time because people from all over would see it in this outlet is using it, that outlet is using it. I'm like, damn, you know, at
Yeah,
least.
CNN grabbed that picture of DeAndre and made it their own. And I was like, myself, Abdul, and a couple other people like, wait a minute, that's Ian's
Quite a
image.
few people
We
did
know that's
that,
Ian's image. So we need to contact Ian and let them know that CNN, the MSNBC, and all these people are using your image and acting like they just happened upon that image. And so that was only one part. There was another one that I don't have that image, and I wish I did. But there's an image that you captured of the Charlottesville. I don't know what you call them. I don't think they were the Proud Boys then. I think they had another name. I don't know. We've been through so many different ones.
yeah.
These were the Lantern Kids that you can't capture. That's what I call them.
Tiki
Um,
Torch?
the Tiki Torture guys. That's there's an
No.
image you have of um. It's like a head to head. It's a black woman, and I don't know if it was the white supremacists, the Tiki torture guys, or just some Klan members.
Oh, when the hands are extended,
Yes.
that actually was at a Klan rally in Douglasville, Georgia,
Okay.
and that guy was like the old folks said, he was two sheets in the wind. He was full of what do you call it, joy juice, and he was out there spewing nonsense about Black Lives Matter is no different than the Klan. And this sister took the time to educate him, and they talked
Right.
for a few minutes. And see, that's the key word, educate. but you have to be willing to listen to the other side. That man stood there, as drunk as he was, he stood calmly and listened to that sister.
And that's an image that I remember, and that was all over the news and everywhere else, because we were at such a stirring. It was such a hate. Everything was about hate and black and white and blue and black and blue and black, white and blue. And so that image, seeing them, this hate-filled person and this sister stand up there in the midst of that and not be afraid and stand there and educate these people, has an image that to me speaks education and empathy and humanity. Is the only way we're going to change the isms that have been projected in the past 6-7 years that we've seen, the hate that has come forth. We can go all the way back to when Barack Obama was running for office. We kind of started to see the midst of it, the birth certificate, the he's not born here, the change, the hope, all of this goes back to there, and it just is escalated over the past couple of years, and it's gotten worse. And social media, although social media has some good, social media has kind of played into a lot of this anger and hatred that we're seeing here of late. And so these images tell a story. They're not just thrown together images that are just put out there. They tell a story. And your images will be here lasting for years to come. Now here's another image, Ian. Tell the village about this image we're looking at.
I captured that in, obviously Washington, D.C. This was, I want to say March of 2017. Yeah, because this was a lot of the same individuals I was out at Standing Rock with out in North Dakota. They had called a Native Nations March where they left Standing Rock and brought it to DC. And these three young ladies, everybody wanted to take pictures of them. And I said, if you have something to say to the White House, what would it be? This is what it was. They turned their backs to me and did just that. And that's something I was like, even as a photographer, I said, wow. If I wasn't shooting it, it would have blown me away.
When you saw those people from Standing Rock, because we all know that Native Americans are treated, have been treated, and continue to be treated as substandard citizens in their land, in our land. And so what did it feel like from Standing Rock to DC? What did that feel like? Some of the people you spoke to, looking at that image, what are some of the things that you remember about that time? What stood out to you, Ian?
A conversation I had with one of the elders that was out at Standing Rock. Well, it wasn't just that. There's a few things. Taking part in their sacred water ceremony. I have never in my life tasted water so crisp, so clean. I don't care what bougie, fancy bottle of water you can buy. It tastes nothing like this. And tasting that, knowing what the word meaning with Choni, meaning water is life. And you understand that once you taste the water that they've given you. And you understood why they were doing what they were doing. It's like you've destroyed so much already. Leave this alone. That has to be one of the top things on that list. Being embraced by the people that I came into contact with. Having one of the elders tell me, and it kind of freaked me out, told me, you're doing exactly what you're supposed to be doing. When I sit back and think about it, it still messes with me. Because it was You know, he spoke life into me. It was prophetic, so to speak. But you see, and this is the problem I have with big media. They always show the bad. They don't have the flip side. It's not always bad. You see, you know, you want to talk about the protesters that's standing around. Oh, angry protesters. They're doing this. They're doing that. People out there with their families, kids sliding down the hill, you know, in the snow. People sitting around talking, embracing, enjoying one another. You know, going between yurts and teepees and actually sharing a meal with each other. You know, they didn't talk about that. I have a photo dubbed Angry Protesters. It's a couple that was they were sitting outside of this little trailer and talking about things coming full circle. That image and two others are actually part of the permanent art collection at Yale University's law school. Those two individuals actually went to Yale together many years before the School of Forestry. That's where they met. So, you know, for them to share that with me, you know, I don't know, I'm at a loss for words. You know, I lost for words. Because there's so many interpersonal connections that are missed by big media. You know, the whole adage, if it bleeds, it leads. You know, why don't we show different things? Let's create a balance and let people see what it is. Don't, you know, dehumanize. You know, there's a lot more good in this world than there is bad. And people need to see that. So no, I don't always shoot protests. No, shoot the lighter side of life. That's what needs to be shown. You know, I have this thing where I say, you know, pretty much the first part of my life, I was angry. You know, lost my mother, parents were divorced. So seeing a lot of death and destruction, I was very angry. I did a lot of crazy things growing up. But when you move to do something, as you get older and you mature, you learn that that's not what life is about. The things that you were concerned about don't even matter anymore. I'm more concerned about really making the world a better place for what I do. I can't do it by myself. I can only do my part. You know, leaving it better than when I found it, so to speak. You know, for our kids and grandkids, you know, stop being so damn destructive. I mean, yeah, we all had that phase in our lives. But when you get older, you realize what truly matters in life. And it's not the BS you were doing before. Stop spending so much time hating each other, you know, being angry. For what? Why? You're going to have a heart attack and stress out, you know, and check out. And the person that you're angry with, they might be sitting at your funeral laughing. What sense does it make? Everybody needs to just do their part.
So, Ian, you have been a tremendous guest. I've loved the fact that we have been able to share your journey from Tyler to where you are now. And what I want you now to tell the audience is how they can see these amazing images and how they can get some of these amazing images.
Yes, well, as you know, Dr. Mays, I just revamped everything about what I do, my whole website. And my website is www.ianfrank.com. Frank.com. I still keep the moniker Third Eye Journey because what it stands for. But Ian Frank is where I keep everything in one wheelhouse.
Okay. So
social media, I'm sorry, Instagram is Ian Frank Gallery, and Facebook is Ian Frank as well.
okay. And so these images that we've shown today and all the other images, people can get copies and they will be able to order them from those sites that you talked about, and they can get in contact with you, correct?
Directly, if there's any questions, you can email me through my website. You can shoot me a message through Facebook. You can shoot me a message through Instagram. Either way.
Again, Ian, thank you for sharing. Thank you for being my guest. I'm glad to be able to share the Ian I know, and for others to see the epic work you're doing. To be able to share Tyler, we all carry Tyler right here with us. And we will continue to do what Tyler wanted us all to do, to show the world the humanity, to show the world love, to show the world care, and to show the world that there are things out there that they haven't seen, and to let them be able to see it and to love each other and care about each other and share. So thank you once again, Ian. I appreciate you being here. And
Dr. Mays, thank you for having me.
Thank you so much, Ian. And we're going to end our show tonight the way we started, highlighting women and women in business. I'd be remiss if I did not talk about yours truly. I have had some amazing women in my life. My biological mother, who I lost at age 4 years old, and my mother that raised me. They were two strong women. My mother, biological mother, was one of the Plaquemines Parish Five. She was an educator who was a part of integrating Plaquemines Parish schools under Shalyn Perez. Um, and she was an educator, she was a coach. And in her short time here on this earth, she made an impact with the many people that she came across, her students, her sorority sisters, her friends, her colleagues. Her and my father started the first homeless shelter called Mays Bunkhouses in Plaquemines Parish. And they also had their seafood and orange trees. And so I cannot say enough about my mother, Leona, who is no longer with us, but started to pave the way. And through her death, handed off the token, which was me, to my mother who raised me, Louise, who was also an educator, also a teacher, a principal, a business owner, um, a member of the refinery where she taught adult illiteracy to people who did not know how to read, and also to people who were immigrants and were learning how to read. She was also a business owner, had a produce market, traveled across the South with her produce with my dad. And so I took that and that strength and used it to motivate me, to push me, to make me everything that I am today. And so I realized that the baton was passed to them through my grandmother, and they got the baton, and it's now been passed to me. And I'm going to pass the baton to my daughter and to my niece, and they're going to pass it on. And through generation and generation, we continue to build strong women who are making their way, making their impact, and showing the world that we're here, that we're going to continue to strive, we're going to continue to progress, and that women are making a statement. We have always been on the forefront of everything that has happened positively in America. We are the mothers of America. We are the people that have paved the way. We have given birth to the people that have been making strides. Every person that was born from a woman. And so we want to continue to excel, but we also want to make sure that we push forward the point that women still have a long way to go. We are business owners, we're physicians, we're dentists, we're lawyers, we are teachers, but we have a long way to go before we are truly seen and received and respected for the opportunities that we have brought forth in this world. So if you know a woman, if you are a woman, if you've touched the lives, if you've gone through anything to contribute to the support of women, I thank you. For women out there, I want you to know, for those who are coming along that have not made the success that they want, be patient, be vigilant, and never stop. Never let anybody limit what you can do. Never let anybody tell you what your limits are. And always strive to be better than you were today for the next day. With that, I'd like to say thank you for joining in with us tonight. Ian, thank you for being a part of our show. And stay tuned next week when we're going to have another extraordinary woman that is going to be with us on the show. And thank you for joining in tonight. You guys have a great night. Good night.
We live in a semi-tropical valley surrounded by liquid mountains, splashing above our heads, held back by flood walls and levees. We don't feel the water it has provided for us. The sun-baked mist generates the steam that permeates our subterranean den, a spicy fusion of water and land energy, providing the base for this fragile bowl of cultural gumbo, made by the indigenous Americans and other members of the world diaspora, flown to the mouth of the river, some clinging to dreams, others tied to nightmare. They all brought their luggage stuffed with the memories of their heritage. They brought their demons and their deities, their spice and their spite. They brought their dance and their song, their beards and their fight. This is an undistilled recipe that has been simmering for over 300 years. And it can be anywhere from finger-licking good to downright sickening, but never bland. We don't feel the water, we must coexist with it.